Hi, I'm Cedric Dew, Senior Executive Director of the YMCA of Greater New York. Basketball has as rich a history in the YMCA as anywhere. History credits James Naismith with creating the game of basketball in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts, well before segregation was abolished and blacks and whites were able to play on the same courts. During these years, the game of basketball was played in black communities in barns, schools, and in gyms and local community centers like the Harlem Y. This created the Negro Leagues, an opportunity for black men and women to hone their skills and celebrate the game with their peers. We all know the stories of today's players, Michael Jordan, the late Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. But there are a lot of unsung heroes you've never heard of, men and women that played the game for recreation, those representing historically black colleges, and ultimately that changed the professional ranks. These are just some of the stories that have been archived by the Black 5 Foundation. The Smart Set Athletic Club of Brooklyn was founded in 1905 and 2 years later assembled the country's first formal organized independent all-black basketball team. Its members came from the tight-knit clique of well-educated, old-money African Americans residing in then predominantly white Stuyvesant Heights. Nicknamed the Gravediggers for their tendency to bury their opponents, the team won the first two colored World Basketball Championships in 1907 and 1908, and 1908 to 1909. After fighting in France during World War I, soldiers from the 372nd Colored Infantry Regiment's Company E, nicknamed the Bloody Hand Division, returned home to Springfield, Ohio, and formed the basketball team that played other all-black teams in the region. For their battlefield valor, the entire 372nd received France's highest military honor. The Company E basketball team used their bloody hand as their logo and nickname. The Monticello Athletic Association, founded in 1911 by Cumberland Posey Jr., one of Pittsburgh's best athletes, the Monticellians honed their game in secrecy at an all-white gym, sneaking in on Sunday mornings to practice when the gym was closed. Their strategy and hard work paid off as they beat reigning champion Howard University to win the Colored Basketball World Championship in 1911-1912, putting Pittsburgh on the basketball map. The Pittsburgh Scholars, founded by Hunter Johnson, an African American who formerly trained the track and football teams of Carnegie Tech and University of Pittsburgh, organized the Scholars Athletic Association in 1915. The Scholastic basketball teams featured some of the local area's top interscholastic and collegiate stars. One of the earliest African-American women's basketball teams, the New York Girls, won the Female Colored Basketball Championship of New York and New Jersey in 1911. The team featured the Cole sisters, formerly stars at local Watley High School for girls, and coached by Conrad Norman, co-founder of the Alpha Physical Culture Club in Harlem. Organized in Brooklyn in 1910, the Spartans Athletic Club, led by the Harris sisters, was one of the first all-black women's basketball teams. Through the family and neighborhood ties, the Spartans were affiliated with their men's counterpart, the Smart Set Athletic Club. Formed in 1908 in East Orange, New Jersey, the Independent Pleasure Club remained one of the top black fives in the East through the mid-1910s. To avoid restrictions on their activities or game schedules, the club remained independent by not affiliating with churches, YMCAs, or amateur athletic union chapters. America's first all-black athletic club, the Alpha Physical Culture Club, was formed in Harlem in 1904 by Jamaican-born brother Conrad and Gerald Norman. The club's basketball team, the Alpha Big Five, won the 1912-1913 Colored Basketball World Championship. Virginia's Hampton Institute, now Hampton University, had one of the best African-American basketball teams during the 1910s, winning the Colored Basketball World Championship in 1916. The team also featured several Native American players. The first varsity basketball team of Washington, D.C.'s Howard University easily won the 1910-1911 Colored Basketball World Championships with a lineup that included former All-American football halfback Edward B. Gray, and former Jersey City and Smart Set star Hudson "Huddy" Oliver. Both Gray and Oliver attended Howard University's medical school while playing varsity basketball and later became surgeons. The Delaney Rifle Athletic Club, formed in Pittsburgh in 1908, was loosely named after Martin Delaney, the first black commissioned officer in Lincoln's Union Army and a fiercely outspoken activist who's considered the father of black nationalism. After their initial success, the Delaney Rifles combined with the Monticellos to form the Monticello's Delaney Rifles. The Crescent's athletic club was one of the earliest all-black basketball teams in Washington, D.C. On December 18, 1908, the Crescents played in the first ever intercity basketball game between African-American teams against the Smart Set Athletic Club of Brooklyn. In the early 1900s, Consolidated Coal Company established the unique, predominantly African-American mining community of Buxton, Iowa. With good jobs, good pay, good housing, and little discrimination, Buxton was known as a black utopia. Its integrated YMCA featured an all-black basketball team that played most of the clubs from surrounding mining camps, though according to former player Herman Brooks, we never played a colored team. Despite not winning a single basketball game during its first 4 seasons of intercollegiate competition, Moorehouse College of Atlanta, Georgia, had become a powerhouse by 1922, when the Maroon Tigers capped a 42-game win streak with the team's 8th straight national Southern Conference Championship and 3rd straight national Negro Collegiate Championship. And then there were the Golden Arrows of the all-women's black basketball team of the 1940s. This team was from South Jamaica, Queens. Their home court was Junior High School 40 in South Jamaica. They were featured in Jet Magazine and Ebony Magazine. One of their players, Rudy Perlott, went on to play professional basketball. When one of its teams folded under financial pressure midway through the 1948-49 season, the National Basketball League invited the famous New York Renaissance of Harlem to replace them. With an all-star lineup, the Wrens joined the league, moved to Daytona, Ohio, changed their name to the Dayton Wrens, and played out the franchise's remaining schedule, thus becoming the first African-American basketball team to play in a professional league. Although Tuskegee Institute of Alabama fielded a varsity basketball team for the 1915-1916 season, the college's emphasis on football during its early years prevented the Tigers from reaching national prominence in basketball until about the 1920s. A crisp and playmaking guard and hard-nosed defender, John Boy Wonder Isaacs led his Textile High School team to the 1939 New York City Championships, then immediately signed a pro contract with the New York Renaissance. He subsequently won World Professional Basketball Championships with both the Wrens in 1939 and the Washington Bears in 1943. Based in Newark, New Jersey, the Outfield Club team that was a top regional contender in the early and mid-1910s, occasionally beating dominant teams such as the New York All-Stars and St. Christopher Club, their popularity helped make New Jersey a must-stop for New York City teams. The Stintonworth Athletic Club, one of Philadelphia's first African-American basketball teams, featured several future stars including brothers Harry and Joe Duplessis. Harry became a pioneering organizer of athletics in his hometown, and Joe later played for the Southwest Philadelphia Colored YMCA and Clavers Catholic Club of Philadelphia and the Smart Set Athletic Club of Brooklyn. In 1913, the Orion Basketball Club was one of Philadelphia's earliest all-black basketball teams. The Lincoln University basketball team reached national prominence in the mid-1910s after brothers Ulysses Liss Young and William Pimp Young enrolled in the school. With Pimp as the guard and Liss as the center, the two made a nearly unbeatable pair. After graduating, both men played professionally for Pittsburgh's famous Olendy Big Five, helping the team win 4 straight colored basketball world championships after World War I. I want to thank the Black Fives Foundation for archiving all of these incredible photos and the narratives behind them. And remember, Black history happens every day.